Nastavljamo sa današnjim panelima.
We are continuing with the panels. Our next panel is Agricultural Standards and Cooperative Business Model. Your moderator will be Katarina Jelisavcic from Kvalitet Plus. Perhaps we can start. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Katarina Jelisavcic. I'm a coordinator or rather consultant for agriculture in the issues of quality models of business. Today I'm going to moderate the panel that is very, very important in both primary agricultural production and in processing and distribution. Since we are talking about berries, we have a lot of raspberry, blueberry, blackberry and other berry producers. We are going to deal with the global gap, good agricultural practices. This is the standard that is very familiar to most of you. You have already been faced with implementing this standard, the requirements of the standards, the needs and requirements of the buyers with regard to this standard. And today we will be devoting our time to problems, issues, and challenges in this field, and we will be discussing the cooperative business models where large companies actually connect with the small producers and enable them to grow their businesses. I will present today's panelists, and then please feel free to ask any questions that you might have with regard to this topic. We are here to have a dialogue and to reach some conclusions today that we all need. My first guest is Edite Strazdina, global gap consultant, and she will present the situation with the global gap and its presence in both Europe and all over the world. Our next panelist is Jelena Mirković. She is from Agro company, quality manager. Vojislav Vlahovic, he is a large berry producer, and I can say initiator and owner of a Beobasta platform, Beogarden. It is a new way of delivery of products from field to fork. And Andrijana Pecic, Delhaize representatives, she will discuss the requirements of a large retail chain when it comes to fresh berries and standards. Dear guests, thank you for participating in this panel. Let us start. Edita, please take the floor.
So, dear participants, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very happy to be here, first in Belgrade, first in Serbia. And yes, my name is Edite, and I'm working as a technical key account manager for Global GAP already more than 4 years. But before this, I had as a chairwoman of the board of the biggest Latvian fruit and vegetable cooperatives, producer group or organization in Baltic countries when we started this in Europe. I also worked together with Europe Commission in working groups to establish the regulation for the producer groups and for producer organizations. Just now I am only in working groups for COJECA and Europe Commission about product quality, promotion, bilateral bilateral agreements. But yes, it's shortly about me. And after the finishing agriculture university, I started with my strawberry farm together with my husband. This is shortly about my experience, but just now I am staff of the Global Gap. What does it mean? It means that we are designing the standards for agriculture. Global Gap as a good agriculture practice standard, and I will try to explain a little bit more about this standard, but normally. We have the trainings for 5 days, and this means that I can explain only shortly what does it mean. So let's go forward, and today I will tell you briefly about Global Gap, then also about our terms or information about sustainability in certification. This is new in our new version, also version 6, and also social responsibility standard. This means that add-on, not as a standalone standard, which we call as a GRASP. And also about option 2, this means group certification and certification for cooperatives, our producer groups. And also certification about high-risk products, what we speaking all days today. And this means it's soft berries. And also about the new one term in our standard as continuous improvement plan. So let's start about Global Gap. What does it mean? GAP stands for Good Agriculture Practice. And also this standard works worldwide. This means that assures this good and responsible farming. And if we look into the company's purpose, this means that at first we can say that every generation has a right to safe food, and especially for the farmers, this is a main goal, how to ensure it. If you look into our company, this means that our company consists of more as 400 members. They are retailers, they are associated members, they are producers. Then we have just now more as 208,000 producers under the certification in 136 countries. And we have 3 main product groups. Next one. 3 main product groups, which we calling as a local gap, is just for internal market, and if you have demand. Then the basic standards for us we call the Global Gap, integrated farm assurance, which is a basic standard. But we can also operating together with other add-ons, this means additional standards, which works only together with this basic standard integrated farm assurance. And therefore we have 40 plus standards and programs, not only one Global Gap. And for sure, if you open in our website our product list, this means that we have more than 600 products. So, and if you look into the board and decision and how we create the standards, this means that we have in decisions power 50 to 50. 50% from the producer side and 50% from a retailer or customer side. So also, if you speak about benefits, when you get the certificate, you are in our database. And in our database, you can also find all certificates which are in Serbia and all other countries. You can search in 3 options. This means that at first, if you know the Global Gap number, GGN as we call, then if you have information about the name of producer, or you just want as a third option, just open the database, put the country and put the product which is in our product list. And then you can find all certificates which is in our database. So, and I'm not so happy that you have not any registered trained yet, a trainer in Serbia, but I hope that soon will be. We have just consultants who working with knowledges of the global gap, but we changed the program from farm assurance. This means that from consultation as called as a farm assurance to the consultants who already can work with our presentations, use our website, also use presentation in PowerPoint format, and we call them as registered trainers. But yes, for registered trainers, you need to pass the exam with 80% of the knowledge of our trainings. And also our trainings, just now we have for version 6. This means that 4 days trainings and 1 day exam. It's for registered trainers. And so, yes, for sure, for certification bodies, we also train them to become familiar with this standard, and they have a little bit higher requirements. This means that we have more or less 2,000 inspectors, auditors, who working with 171 accredited certification bodies. So, and why global gaps? This means that it's a global trend, and also based on the climate crisis, also based on the new programs and customer demand all over the world, and also in European Union. This means that the new project about European Green Deal, Farm to Fork, and Paris Climate Agreement, this means all works together, and we create and improving standards every day by day or year by the year. This means that transparency of producing farm level data is quite important, which is also included in our new version 6 standard. So at first it comes from customers. We start with customer demand. Then this customer demand goes to the retailers. Then also we can understand requirements from the distributors, which also have specific requirements just now for chain of the custody certification. This is also independent standalone standard. And after this go to the farmers, which organizing the certification. And if you look into the customer requirements, this means at first it goes to the certification. Sometimes it's only business-to-business requirements, and customers don't know how the retailers go back to the farmers and asking for them all these controls. It could be as a supplier audits, as a social audits, as a environmental audits, sustainability audits, or audits based on the other standards, as the BRC or IFES, which works for the processing. Then we also need to understand that for fresh produce, not processed produce, we can use the global gap standards. For processing, we can use BRC food standards, IFES, FSSC standards, and also for distribution we have this packaging BRC or IFES also, or FSSC, and this means it's based on the very deep information and checklists inside, and also all those standards is based on the risk analysis and risk assessments in your companies. And this means that's quite important, as we heard before in the previous presentations, also water, microbiological analysis, maximum residue levels for the plant protection products, and also approvals against falsification. It's only part of those standards. So, and if you look into the supermarkets all over the world, for example, if you look into the SPAR, then for fruits and vegetables, they already put in the contracts that it must be absolutely free from any residues of the pesticides. If you look into the ITSA, Lidl, Tesco, Rimi, when you want to start to speak with them as the suppliers, the first question also always goes, what is the certificates you have? If you have not global gap for fresh products, this means you can go home and come to us to speak only when you have those certificates. This was my first meeting also with the Swedish supermarket ITSA when I was as a fruit and vegetable cooperative manager. Then they said, okay, do you have the certificates? I said, yes. Okay, then we can continue to speak. So, and if you look into the data about Serbia, it's from our database. We can see that just now in Serbia we have quite good situation. We have more as 1,000 certificates already for the global gap. This means that you are quite familiar with certification also here. I didn't find the data just now, but if you will ask, I can send you directly about hectares, about products, but also we can see in the database all this information. If you have interest, and here you can see comparing with last 4 years, this means starting 2019, then 2020 and 2021. This means that you how decrease, increase, but just now the situation, it's quite good. But for sure, if you look into the Netherlands, if you look into the Spain, we have 40,000 certificates. This means that you have big potential for growing. So let's go forward about sustainability in certification. And this means it's quite important, also included in our new version 6, and also for social standard add-on, GRASP version 2, which works only together, version 2 for GRASP and version 6 for IFA, Integrated Farm Assurance Standard for Global GAP. This means that it's the flagship standard is a new and improved format, absolutely new format for the version. This means extended criteria, key issues such as sustainability, animal welfare, and for the first time, continuous improvement plan at producer level. This means that the standard for the future. So in the standard we have 2 editions. This means that for those who already worked with the version 5, understand that we have active and valid versions, editions 5.2 and 5.41. This means that 5.4. This means that this is a GFS recognized version. GFS, this means Global Food Safety Initiative, and also as BRC, as IFS standards, also Global GAP, are benchmarked recognized standards. But SMART, we have not this recognition, but it's still valid and also works very good for all over the world. This is quite similar to the version 5.2. If you look into the new topics which we included in the version 6, this means that we have a new one, greenhouse gas and climate change, ecosystem restoration, food waste management, plastic management, carbon neutrality, deforestation prevention, animal welfare, as a farm as an agricultural ecosystem, and also, as I said, continuous improvement plan. And if you look into the old topics, which is updated, this means biodiversity, integrated pest management, soil management and conservation, water management, energy efficiency, waste management, fertilizers, plant protection products. So, and for those who already are familiar with the version 5, this means that we have 3 modules in the checklist for the control, for the audits. This means that all farm-based control points, then also for the scope base. This means that crops for the fruits and vegetables. Just now we changed the name from the crops to the plants, and also we changed subscopes to the product categories name, but those product categories we still have the same. This means fruits and vegetables under the plants, flowers, ornamentals, combinable crops, tea, plant propagation material, and hops. As we informed our certification bodies and also the information in our websites that we not continue to work with livestock standard anymore, and the last one certificate will be valid until the end of the 2024. This means that we have not a little bit capacity to rework to the new one version. This means that we finished to work with the livestock, but we will give this livestock standard as a benchmark standard to other persons, and maybe we will continue to keep also database with us. But if you look into the fruits and vegetables, for sure, this is quite important that we continue to work. And also for the checklist, you remember that we had these principles with the 3 modules. Just now for the version 6, we have absolutely new structure for the standard. This means holistic approach, and we have only one checklist. This means included food safety, legal management, traceability, production processes, environment sustainability, animal health and welfare for animal standards, more it will be for the aquaculture, and also quite important part, it's workers' well-being, which is also works together with the GRASP if we using the add-on as a social standard. So, and the next slide, the differences, what we have, this means that, or changes, we reduced the number in control points. Just now we not call as the control points and compliance criteria, but we call in the version 6 as the principles and criteria. And this means for fruits and vegetables, we have reduced 32 principles and criteria, but increased the major must level. As you know, for Global GAP, if you go to the standard and certification, this means that for major you should have 100% compliance with the major must, 95% compliance with the minor must, and recommendations, we have just recommendations. So, and we will have also specific rules for cooperation or collaboration with the add-ons for the integrated farm assurance basic standard, but we still have the same add-ons. As you see here, it's the GRASP is also the responsible operation standards for compound feed manufacturers, spring sustainable program for irrigation and groundwater use, and also for supermarkets, as for example for Netherlands, Albert Heijns, we have specific add-on, as in we have specific add-on for the Tesco Northern. This means that if you go to the specific retailers as a suppliers, this means that you need to understand the requirements about add-ons. So, and it's big pressure from the stakeholders, from the customers, that we have those environmental regulations, also the same from the buyers, for consumers, from NGOs. We're saving the information what we need to improve. And this means that expected target dimensions, what we need to remember also in previous presentations, we can see the efficiency, sustainability, food safety, and high quality is the basic stones what we need to follow up. How we can improve this, and how we can be sure that we improve the situation in our farms year by year. At first, we need to collect the data farm. Therefore, we created also this add-on module, which we call impact-driven approach or data-driven approach. And this means that we promote good agriculture practices, require as documentation and record keeping, and positive spillovers to other areas of the activities. How it looks, this means that we just collect the data from the farms at the time of the certification. This means that we have new requirements in the checklist as metrics, as we call, and this means that it could be as a kilos, how much we're using the fertilizers, then also electricity, then also about cubic meters of the gases or other fertilizers, organic fertilizers, for example, and also amounts of plant protection products in the farms. And as you see here, we have just some data, how we can compare between farms in one country or region or in the place we are where we operating. So, and if you look into the add-on standards, this means that for all add-ons, we're working with the already basic standard, integrated farm assurance standard. And then in this standard, we already contain the control points of workers, occupational health and safety, for example, for the GRASP standard. And we just add, for example, 11+1 additional GRASP requirements for the social practice. This means that for Lidl supermarket, for example, they already asking mandatory the GRASP assessment, also for the farms. Then also we just worked together with Lidl and created in Europe level, which works only in Europe, but we have also pilot projects in other countries. This means that we have biodiversity add-on, which speaks about farm-level biodiversity management tool, monitoring and chance and protect key biodiversity indicators, races, farm-level awareness. It's quite important because sometimes farmers asking what I need to do with this name biodiversity. This means that also we train about this possibility how to implement this add-on in farms. And also guidelines and affordable audit system for all farm types where we operating. So how it works the same as the add-ons we have. This means that the integrated farm standard already contains control points on biodiversity, water, and integrated pest management, but we adding additional requirements for this one. About option 2 certification benefits, what we have already. This means you have option 1. Individual farm certifications. This means that certificate goes to the, after the audit and successful closing non-conformities, the simple farmer as legal entity receiving the certificate. Then we have the option 2, which goes to the group certification, and this means that group certification certificate keeper are the group, not the farmer. And if farmer wants to sell the products outside from the group, this means that he must sell the products as not certified. But the benefits is that for products we can organize certification, and it's included in the rules of the group certification, the square root of the audits for those group members. How it looks, this means that if you go to the group or cooperative, which works together, they have, for example, 100 members, and square root of the 100 members, it could be look like some 33 participants. This means that they will be audited in the first audit. All others must be assessed only internally with internal audits. So I would say not so good news for you that for high-risk products it's not work. And for high-risk products as soft berries, this means that you should have audits for all certification. Yes, but if you look into the cooperatives, we have a lot of benefits. This means that also exchange of information. If you're working together with non-governmental organizations, then also you can monitoring the price. Also, you can work together with legislation and consultations. Then also, it's very good cooperation with processors together. And then we have the specific standard just for processors, which we call the crops for processing. But this works only in the case certification for crops for processing. It's quite lighter standards. These crops for processing work in the case if you have not or you don't need the certificate for fresh product. You send all your products only for the processors. And for agriculture cooperatives, this means that market planning, research, common trade, fixed and robust prices in the cooperative level, and also you can understand the prices in markets, and also common quality management systems, which is more cheaper if you're organizing this in cooperative, not individual for each farm. But for individual farmers, yes, you have the benefits of independence, about planning, about pricing, but sometimes it's lead to the house in commerce. Yes, just as information. For the high-risk products, yes. High-risk products, we have assessment in the levels that we have high-risk products and we have high-risk process. What does it mean? You have ready-to-eat products, which is washed, which is collected by the hands, and then we can put, if you have those both processes, high-risk products and high-risk process, then we need to decide that you are producing high-risk products. And if you look into the products, this means that fresh herbs, leafy greens, berries, and cantaloupe melons. This means that we not allow for group certification sampling. This means that all farmers must be assessed in this case. And if you look into the Serbia, if I looking through the information what you have, the most valuable evaluated principles what you need to lead and where you need to go. This means efficiency, profitable, and sustainability. This means that improving both the quality and quantity through the knowledges and certification. And it's quite important also from the previous speakers. I not repeat. This means that new virus-free varieties, renew old gardens, intensive gardens, improve pre-harvest, harvest, and post-harvest processes, and most important, trainings and knowledges. And as a goal, what you will receive if you go this direction, this means that you can reach higher fields, higher yields, also shelf life of the products, and your product will be very good looking on the shelves of the supermarkets. Also to get profit for the farm, it's quite important for you, and also in this challenging time, and also you will get a new clients. Also, when I started to work with my farm and go to the certification, it was 2010. Long time ago, start with certification, and this means that after receiving the certificates, I receiving also calls from the lot of retailers, distributors out of my country, and this means, yes, it's quite important if you are in our database with your products. And for this, you can continue with continuous improvement plan in your farm. And also this improvement plan, for example, we have as a major, as you see, for example, if you look into our training materials, also we go to the you have fruit and vegetables checklist, numbers for requirements 2.1, major requirements that you have this continuous improvement plan and certification. This means that first you make the self-assessment in which place you are with your farm. Then this plan could be for the 3 years or more. Then you have improvement targets, current status, planned activities, and target outcomes and dates. Yes, I know that farmers don't like the records, farmers don't like the requirements, but I would say that this is insurance for your activities in farm. And if you are safe about this processes, what you are doing, you can be safe about trade of your products. This is quite important to remember. And also this is the insurance for the retailers when they buy your products and understand, yes, you are certified. As a person with other thinking, come to your farm as an auditor and just say and try to help you, not as an inspector, just say you're wrong, wrong, wrong. No, our auditors go to the farms as a help to you improve your situation, to get you out from the mistakes and help to make efficiency in your farms. This is a goal of the standards, and this is the reason how to get very good situation in your farm. So, if you want to learn, you can come to our online academy, also participate in our webinars. We have also self-paced courses, and also we have information in the media, social media, and the easiest way, you just can ask me directly. Because I am responsible also for your region, mostly about also Russia. Yes, I speak also Russian. And this means that I can a little bit understand your language. Therefore, please do not hesitate. Come back to me with the questions, and I will try to help you. Thank you.
Thank you, Edite.
After such a detailed presentation about global gap, grasp, and all that which is in front of us when this standard is concerned, we will continue the panel
with the companies and producers. Namely, they will tell us about their experience from their perspective about the GAP standards and other standards they apply in their production. We will start from Agro company. It's among the leading companies in Serbia dealing in production and distribution of fresh produce. It's leading with regard to the technology they apply in their production. Today we'll ask their Jelena about the experience of the company in the implementation of the GAP standards and other standards that you have in your company. Also, what are demands of local consumers and what are the demands of the foreign consumers of your product, and are there any difference in those demands? Good afternoon, everybody. I am Jelena Markovic. I come from the Agro System company. We are producing, purchasing, and selling fresh berries and vegetables as well. We've been founded in 2016 and began marketing fruit in 2018. And at that same year, we introduced Global GAP as our standard. And that's how we started to adjust to the standard and to follow all the procedures. This standard is quite demanding, but if what we need to do is to produce a healthy product, and that's the goal that we all have, that we all share. And what about local and foreign consumers? Well, there is not a great difference among them. What they share and what they have in common is that they demand that we have the global GAP standard. But the social standards differ. In our country, the grasp is demanded, but we do have it, and next year we will have another one. Thank you, Jelena. Now I have a question for Vojislav Vlahovic. He's the owner of the blueberry plantation and raspberry and blackberry, and he is also the owner of Beobasta platform. So tell us about the idea of the implementation of the Global GAP standard. Was that the idea that you wanted to accept so that it would be simpler for you to do your production, or maybe a buyer demanded that from you? Hello, everybody. Thank you for inviting me to take part in this panel. Generally speaking, I'm the representative of the company dealing in berry production. We heard for the Global GAP standard and we planned to introduce it even before we started the production because it's in the high demand in the market. So I can ask you, did you see anything in the supermarket about Global GAP? I never asked about the standard when I'm buying fruit. But we did hear that it's in demand in the foreign markets, so we then inquired about this standard, and so that the point is to produce quality fruit so that we are able to export that, and we realized that it would be our comparative advantage. So we asked Katja to help us implement all this, and we were proactive, and when we marketed our products, we were already prepared. Thank you. And now we have a representative of the largest retail chain in Serbia, Delhaize. She's a quality manager. Excuse me, she's a purchase manager in Delhaize. So tell us, in the past years, did the quality of a produce changed with the implementation of this standard? Can you see the difference on the quality of products that you get from your producers? Hello everybody, I'm Andrijana Pecic from Delhaize, Serbia. I work on fresh produce, particularly berries. As regards the certificates and the standards as such, last year we started intensively certifying our producers. Namely, we inquired whether they already have this certification or fulfill the requirements to get the certificate. And before that, we have conducted audits, and many producers do not have certificates as yet. So we have annual audits that are based on the global gap specification and global back standards. So those producers and suppliers that do not have a certificate as yet are producing products that comply with this standard. Namely, all our produce are safe, and our producers and suppliers will be certified soon. And as regards producers, they are all certified, so there were no larger changes. And the plan is that before 2024, all producers are certified. So another question, you have option 2 group certificate, group global gap certificate. Working with your suppliers, did this help you come to a global way of doing business? Namely, did the group global gap certificate help you uniform the producers and introduce them into the safe product system? Yes, we have a very well elaborated corporate system. It's a closed system. Not anybody can come to sell products to us because there is no traceability, and we are not sure what they did and how they treated their plants. Our system includes a small number of cooperants, and we are now expanding our network. The goal is that every new member is visited throughout the year. We have engineers that visit them throughout the year, in the harvest as well. In 2020, we have introduced option 2. We gathered together a smaller number of our cooperants, and we certified them. It was not an easy process, not really. Now it's somewhat easier, but at that time it was not easy to explain to them why is it important to produce in that way. But now I believe that the awareness is raised not only in the producers but in our country in general. Yes, that's what I wanted to ask. Are you able to see that we have now raised awareness with our producers about the treatment of their their plants and getting the healthy product. And do you see any changes when we started introducing the standard? And everybody found things quite unfamiliar. And I believe now people know more about that, think more about that, and it is now easier to include the producers so that we can follow all the processes. And in the harvest, we make unscheduled visits and analyze the products. Of course, when we visit the producers, we see what they are doing, but in order to be sure, the auditors need to conduct control, and we are performing analysis in order to know what is happening, because we do want to avoid any unpleasant situations when things were not done properly. We did not have any unpleasant situations so far because everybody complied with the rules. What is important is that they listen to our advice and recommendations to follow the nutrition plan that we are supplying every year. Thank you, Jelena. Voja, Beobasta. It's an innovation in our country. It's present for several years already, and I've been with you from the early start, but it has now developed quite well. Did the standards have a positive effect on Beobasta business? Are consumers sure about the biosafety of the products you sell? Yes, that's our greatest advantage. We boast of having a global gap certificate and safe products. When we started the distribution to people's homes, we specified what our advantage is compared to others. So we will deliver to your address. We will have pesticide-free products. We will deliver produce in cooling cooling trucks, and having a global gap certificate is quite a big thing. There are many requirements to meet. You know that you need to do a lot of things in order to acquire that. And then people asked us about global gap, and we explained that that's a set of procedures, and that the purpose, the goal is that we have the produce safety confirmed. How to achieve that? People come to our plantations, and then we explain what global gap certificate is about, what treatments are implemented. And when we labeled our products as pesticide-free, then we saw that that was the advantage. And what we want is to tell our clients that the pesticide-free is not the same as overdose. We need to know about all the procedures taken by agricultural households. When we say that something is organic, and we say that it is not, but without residues of pesticides. Then they say that then it's okay, it's organic. That's what they say, but that's not true. So we have a platform, distribution platform, and based on the global gap, we achieve a full transparency. Our consumers know the origin of our products and the procedure that were taken. Thank you, Voja. Now, a question from the representative of Delhaize. What are your future plans? When the global gap certification will be mandatory? What about the new version? What is new with your company? The new suppliers of Delhaize will have to be global gap certified. That's the standard now, and they need to have that. Whoever is not certified yet are working now on being certified, so before 2024 all 200 suppliers that we have will be global gap certified. And to add on what consumers look for in the produce, they want a safe product, and that safety should be confirmed. A certification house that would say, yes, these products are safe and can be consumed. And that's what global gap does. And as regards the version, the last version that they want in Delhaize, it's what we require in Serbia as well. And the last question. What is your message to the audience here? What are the expectations with regard to the standardization and the application of global gap and GRASP in future?
So, if you look into this message, at first I would say be innovative, be brave. Don't afraid from the standards, because this is not standards which is goes for you just for control. This is insurance for your activities, your performance, and therefore don't afraid from the standards, but be sure that you can confirm them. If you look into the future, yes, version 6 will be mandatory from the next year, 1st September. This means you can be certified by the old version until the 31st of the August. But anyway, get the knowledge, go through our website, just get information, and also find the people who can participate in our trainings. So, go to the consultants. It depends also from you. And yes, at first, go forward. Just keep going.
Thank you, Edita. Jelena?
Pa ono što bih mogla poručiti svima, odnosno i reći.
What I can say, and my message for everybody, is that we all would need to be global gap certified in order that our buyers know that we are offering safe food. So all of you need to join individually or in group. That's a must for everybody. What about you, Voja? I believe that we will need to be prepared to introduce new modules, new versions, graphs, food safety, and so on. My message for you is pay more for the verified food. And my message is that maybe small producers are afraid of high costs and complicated procedures of certification. Maybe they should seek advice from the larger companies who has went through the certification, and maybe some retail change like ours, because that will help them follow the processes from the field to fork, because we all strive to achieve that nowadays. We know that it is hard, that it is complicated, that it's uncertain when we start, but we need to comply with everything. Thank you, dear panelists. Now, I would like to ask audience whether they have any questions for our panelists here. Please feel free. Don't hesitate to ask anything about the standardization, because we have excellent panelists here. They can answer all your questions. Okay, so you have received sufficient information. Thank you all. With this, I'll wrap up this panel. Dear panelists, thank you a lot.